All righty, it is a couple minutes after 7, so let's go ahead and get started. Um, this is the meeting heading into week 6 of our football season. We're now on the downward side, the second half of the season. So we know that the teams have been in camp now for approximately 9 weeks. So they have had plenty of time to work on deceptive plays, trick plays, and all of that. We have got to be alert. We got to talk about them. We can't count on the fact that the coach is going to tell us about them um, for a couple of reasons. Number one, there may be a concern that we don't keep it confidential, but the other part is that they realize that if we don't know what's coming, it's less likely that they're going to get fouled if they do something wrong. So we have to be on top of things. The highest scrutiny possible goes into trick plays. So we need to make sure that if someone is running something unusual, that it truly is legal. So let's make sure that we're matching their preparation with ours in terms of during the week, that we're communicating with each other. We're doing film study in terms of scouting our teams as well as watching our own games, and working back and forth with each other on the crew on things that we can do better. The three basic things, of course, that we always need to make sure that we do would be our foul selection, our pre-snap routine, including dead ball plays, and then base mechanics. So if we're doing those base things, we're well on our way to being prepared. All right, we're going to talk about a couple of areas tonight. We're going to have fewer plays, a little more directed. We're going to talk about PAT, field goal, and scrimmage kicks. We're also going to have a few free kicks in terms of that mid-range kick, a couple of dead ball prioritization situations, catch, no catch, and read and react. We had a really good example of that this past week. So um, the other thing that we're going to talk briefly about is what we're seeing more and more, and that is with the run pass option, the RPO plays. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. So without further conversation, let's go ahead and start. This first clip is going to involve the back judge in a play going to the goal line. You can see this is a 5-person game. He's starting at the 5, which is fine. Now go ahead and run it, Gregor. What we're going to see is that the runner is going to run basically straight at him, but you'll see the defenders are more towards the bottom of the screen. So what is the runner going to do in that situation? He's going to try to cut away from the potential tacklers. So rather than backpedaling on the goal line that way, we actually should go the other way so that we are not in the traffic pattern there. You see, if the back judge will move to his left rather than to his right, he'll be able to stay pretty much right in the middle of the field, which is where we want that individual. Now, this also would apply equally to our 7-person mechanics. We definitely don't want the back judge moving in that direction that close to the deep wing on that side of the field. So take a tip there. You're going to go opposite the pursuit angles that are coming from the players, in this case, coming from the back judge's left. All right, this next clip is going to be a catch, no catch situation. It's going to be towards the bottom of the screen. We're going to get a swing pass out here. You can see that he gets hit immediately and that ball comes out. Now we drop a beanbag and we rule that that is a catch fumble. Now there are two really important factors in terms of catch, no catch. First of all, does the player get firm control of the ball? That's number one. If he does not gain firm control of the ball, this is going to be an incomplete pass. The second part, though, is equally important, and that is that the potential pass receiver must be able to do something common to the game. And you can see as quickly as this contact comes that clearly, whether he was able to put the ball away, we can't really tell because of the distance away and it's not high definition. But clearly we can tell that he did not have the time to do something common to the game this should have been ruled as an incomplete pass. All right, let's transition now to our West Michigan group. Got a couple of clips from some of our fans from the west side of the state. So let's take a look at those. This first one is going to be, this is what, is that 48? Oh, okay. This is a pass that is going to go to the middle of the field. Is that 48, Gregor?
This is 111.
111, thank you. All right, now what we're going to have is we're going to have a receiver that's going to slant to the middle of the field. And you will see that the defensive back contacts the receiver as the ball, just as it's being released. Now, the contact is legal. It's from the side. It's not from behind. The key factor here is, has the quarterback released the ball? And if you go back and look, you'll see that the ball is still in the quarterback's hands at the time that this contact occurs. So it's legal. Right there, you can see the ball is still in the quarterback's hands. So this is legal contact by the defensive player, and the pass ends up falling incomplete. This is really an important part of what we have to do to make determinations in terms of whether contact is a foul or not. The ball must be in the air, in addition to all those other factors of having a material effect and taking something away from the receiver. So this is really good timing for the DB, perhaps luck on his part. And again, in a 5-person game, the back judge makes a correct judgment that this is simply an incomplete pass. Good job. All right, this next clip should be 114. And what we're going to have here is a pass that's going to go to the sideline. Now, you can see that the defensive back came up, and if you're able to look closely, you will see that his left arm goes around the waist of the receiver. Now, that in and of itself is not a foul, and you can see that the player is able to deflect the ball away from the receiver, making this an incomplete pass. Now, if during the course of the arm around the waist, he either keeps himself into the play or turns the receiver, then we could have a hook and turn. But in this particular play, you can see that the receiver does not turn until after the defensive back has deflected the ball. So therefore, this is just simply an incomplete pass. But it's one that we need to understand why it's incomplete. We did get a flag from the back judge, and he asked me about it. I've explained it, and he now understands what the concept is here. So when a defensive player makes a good play, unless he obviously takes something away from his opponent, we're going to make that a no call. All right, this last clip is going to involve a punt. It's number 48. And there are going to be numerous opportunities here for blocks. So we're going to need to take a little bit of time to break this down. So we want to go slow, Gregor. All right, first of all, stop right there. All right, run that back a few frames. So the first threats coming down the field are going to be from the top of the screen. Now, just for the sake of discussion, let's say that it's the side judge at the top of the screen, field judge at the bottom. All right, so the first threats are going to belong to the field judge. But now the side judge should not feel left out, because pretty quickly he's going to have some business to take care of as well. But these first two guys, actually first three guys that are releasing, all belong to the side judge at the top, both of them. And if we have a good cushion and we put the kick returner on our inside eye, we will be able to see both of these blocks. All right, so run it back again a little bit further, because Gregor, take it back again, because you can see that the field judge is going to get a player that's going to release. He's the fourth player and fifth player coming down the field. So there's going to be an engagement that's going to occur somewhere between the 25 and the 30. All right, that is his bogey at this particular point, knowing that he's got support from the side judge at the top of the screen. All right, so now we don't have fouls so far on what happened at the top of the screen, and everything is fine at the bottom of the screen, but now the kick returner is coming towards the bottom of the screen, which changes all those blocking angles. So what we need to do is we need to transition from those original keys once they're free of foul. And then we need to start looking at the point of attack. So here, those blocks are good at the 50 and the 45. And now we move forward and we need to look at this block inside the 50. And the runner cuts up inside. So any possibility of something in terms of restriction probably was taken off as a result of the runner cutting it up inside. If he'd gone outside, we could have had a foul. So that's what we need to think. First of all, we need to understand and recognize our initial responsibilities and make sure that we have that player or multiple players taken care of, and on both sides of the field, including up the middle, because sometimes the first threat is like the snapper or someone on the interior. But then once the return develops, even after we're clear, we're free of foul of the initial blocks, then we need to look at point of attack to make sure that we're handling things properly. So good job here. Again, this was a 5-person crew. They have their hands full in the Grand Rapids area because they have some really, really good athletes and some good teams. And this is an example of a lot of work that the back judge and a lot of responsibility that he has in a play like this. Now, the line judge did a good job getting downfield and helping, but that's still difficult duty. So good job by this 5-person crew. And that's what we need to apply to our 7-person game. All right, let's jump now to MHSAA officials. This first clip is going to be action that's going to happen towards the bottom of the screen. Now, the sideline view, it's a little bit dark. We'll get a much clearer look at this when we get to the end zone view, but what we're going to have is this wide receiver at the bottom of the screen and this defensive back are going to get locked up. So go ahead and play it. All right, now you'll notice from that first view that the receiver beats him to the inside. And then we have some shucking and jiving down there and we end up with a flag. So let's go to the end zone view now. This is going to show the best look at what happens here. And again, you can see that the wide receiver initially is going to defeat the defensive back. And you can see number 5 is not playing the ball. However, he is able to turn a couple times and face the quarterback and is actually able to deflect this ball from behind. Now, it's certainly not pretty, and it is somewhat unusual that a player that is in this poor of position for as much as he was in this particular play should be free of foul here. But that's what occurs. There's just not a lot there. The deflection that he gets is as a result of reaching around the receiver. And again, we've talked about this repeatedly all summer. Just because it looks bad does not make it a foul. And here he's able to make a play from behind and get this ball stripped from the receiver. So make sure you can put action into a category. Early contact, hook and turn, grab and restrict, something. A cutoff would be another category. Make sure you've got something that you can clearly, if necessary, say was the the factor that caused the guilty verdict on this action. All right, next clip. We talked a little bit, and we're seeing more and more action where the quarterback is in a run pass option. So this should be number 59, Gregor. Should be Chelsea. Yeah. All right, so what we're going to get is number 32 taking the snap. Now, he might be the quarterback all the time. He might be a wildcat quarterback. But what this creates is an issue where if the receivers behave as if it's a passing play, then we would handle it like any other play. But if the receivers go into blocking mode, as you will see at the end of this clip by the widest receiver at the bottom of the screen, if that ball ends up being thrown, then certainly if it's in that third of the field, that half of the field, then that is very suspect for OPI. So go ahead and let it run. See, this is a sprint out. Now he shows the pass or shows the ball as if he's going to pass quickly, and you've got blocking downfield. Now, maybe that was the intent from the beginning, but in a true run pass option situation, the runner slash passer does not know what he's going to do until he sees the reaction of the defense. So the receivers have got to be pretty passive down there and make sure that before they initiate blocking, that it truly is going to be a running play by the quarterback, by the passer. They can't have it both ways. If they're going to play it as a run, then the passer needs to make sure he doesn't throw. So anyway, something to think about, study, be aware of. Hopefully, if a team is going to do something like this, you'll have a chance to watch it on video. All right. Next clip should be number 27. We're going to look at some free kicks. This first one is going to be a mid-range kick that's going to come to the bottom of the screen. Now, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, and we certainly spent some time on it during the summer and have during the season. This is the perfect kind of scenario for Team A. Now, first of all, if we back this up, you'll see that the receiving team player has his back and is looking over his shoulder like an outfielder looking to field this ball. Now, as long as this ball remains airborne, he cannot be displaced. He's got to have the chance to catch this kick. So if we end up with a kicking team player making contact with him before this ball arrives, then we should have KCI. Now, the other thing is that the kicking team cannot touch or catch this ball until it touches the turf. They cannot catch the ball in the air, and that is a part of the rule that's unique to Federation football. Here you can see this guy is hopefully trying to field it, muffs it, and Team A has many more players in that area and is able to easily recover the ball. So the part of this that we need to be aware of is from a deep or from a front four perspective, the field judge and the side judge need to read this kick. And you can see that and let's say that this is the field judge at the bottom of the screen. Field judge does not come downfield because he can see this kick is going to come down at about the 35-yard line. So what he does is he stays stationary and looks to make sure that that the kick returner has an opportunity to field the ball, or that it is not touched by Team A prior to the time that the ball touches the turf. The short wing is going to come up under control. You know, if you come up so fast that your eyes and, your head is bobbing all over the place, you're not helping us. You got to come up under control and recognize the same things that our field judge in this particular case is considering. We don't care where this ball is recovered. What we do care about is who gets on the ball. And as soon as we can identify who has recovered the ball, we want to signal a direction. In this particular case, the appropriate point would be towards the right side of the screen because team A has recovered and will be going towards the goal line to the right. All right, next clip. This is also going to be another mid-range kick. And you can see once again that our deep wing recognizes the situation, holds his spot, and that's important because it gives us the opportunity to look at these players coming down the field to determine if we have legal or illegal blocking. If we come too far downfield, we lose the angle to be able to see through most of these blocks. So this is well done by both of the deep wings on this particular play. You can see that our umpire has penetrated in to the hash mark. And so that was handled well. All right, this last free kick is going to be a short kick. You knew we couldn't talk about free kicks without having a short kick. So every short kick, every free kick is a short kick until it's not. So we're always expecting it's going to be one. And lo and behold, here it is. So look at this from the standpoint of encroachment. Now, if you run this back, whether you're the back judge or you're the umpire, you're going to have to do a couple things. First of all, you're going to have to process. You're going to have to make a judgment. Was everyone on side at the time that the ball was kicked? If not, and it isn't too bad, if the kick goes deep, then we're going to ignore that breaking of the plane of glass. Okay. But if it's short like this, we got to blow it dead. We got to bring it back, and team A will have to re-kick. All right, so let's say he is onside. All right, now we get this dribble kick. Now it's gone 10 yards before team A gets there. So we know that we don't have a problem with early blocking because they are eligible to touch and recover. So what we're going to have here is any touch that occurs beyond the restraining line is going to result in the clock being started. The only way that we would not start the clock would be if we had a clean recovery with the player who was on the ground. Then the clock would stay at the time it was at the beginning of the kick. Here, the ball is muffed by the team B player, and I'm really not sure who recovered this ball. So if you run it to that particular point, the last point on this short kick is as soon as we determine whose ball this is, when you get to that point where the guy stops the clock at the top of the screen, let's say that's the side judge. All right. When he stops the clock, what that says is I have possession. I have firm control, and now this belongs to team A or team B. So as soon as you stop the clock, you need to give a direction signal. It's either with your right arm or your left arm, depending on which way the team is going that recovered the kick. That is very, very important that we do that. The other thing worthy of note is that the official standing at the 40-yard line right now, you will note he does not come charging up there. He stays back. He's watching players. He's letting this thing finish. And then if necessary, then he can come up and help clean up after we get all the action stopped. What we want to try to avoid is someone being picked off a pile or someone committing some other personal foul. And we don't get it because we've charged the stage and can't see it. So some things to keep in mind with the short kicks. All right, let's transition now to some dead ball plays. There are two that I want to look at. First one should be number 80, Gregor. What we're going to get here is we're going to get a touchdown going to the um, top left of the screen. Now you can see that the receiver makes this catch, has firm control of the ball. It's not being bobbled around or anything. Has completed this catch, has taken 2, 3 steps in the end zone, and certainly 5 yards in, maybe further in, he gets pushed from behind by this defensive player. This is a foul that we want called. That is a foul that we want called. Now the question becomes, is that a UNR or is that a UNS? Well, if you remember the training tape that Jeremy Valentine put out a couple of weeks ago, if we're going to rule a UNS, unsporting conduct, we need to make sure that it is really, really bad, that there's a potential injury involved, that it just screams in terms of being unsporting. In this particular case, I would make this UNR because it's still affiliated with the play itself. Okay. Late, no question about it. I'd put this in a similar category to a player getting hit out of bounds, maybe towards the end of the white area. All right. So we want to make this a UNR. And then team A is going to have the option of going half the distance on the PAT or having the 15-yard foul uh, assessed on this succeeding kickoff. So stay alert, finish plays. Good job by the back judge staying with the players. Sometimes, we want to pose and we want to face the press box and show our touchdown signal. That's not a time for us to try to be in a picture someplace. All right, the next play is going to be more of our traditional UNR. It's going to go towards the bottom of the screen. And what I want you to look at, now this happens to be the quarterback. The quarterback is not supposed to get additional protection, but we know just from a common sense standpoint that we do tend to want to try to keep that player in the game. Now, what makes this a foul? The reason why, in my mind, this is a foul, if this runner continues to go north and south, trying to gain all the yardage that he possibly can, then I would say that hit near the sideline is probably going to be legal. But you can see at the last moment, he turns east and west and is looking to go out of bounds. And now this guy hits him low, a good 4 or 5 feet out of bounds. This is a foul that we want called. Those defensive players have got to be responsible in terms of controlling their own bodies when we have players that are going out of bounds. The other thing is that this player makes no attempt whatsoever to minimize the contact with this player. Now, whether that was because he's the quarterback, we don't know that. But nonetheless, that's a foul we want called for UNR late hit out of bounds. All right. The next play should be an example. We've been talking about read and react all year. We're going to get a play that's going to go to the top of the screen. And it's a pretty standard play. It's not something that's really all that difficult. We're going to get a pass that's going to go out here and it's going to break for a long gainer. Now, that jumped ahead, Gregor. Hopefully that's just on my screen, but we're going to get a pass. You can see that the slot guy does a double move and he defeats the defensive back not only for the pass, but he gets away from him. Now you can see that our deep wing does not appear on the screen until we get to goal line extended. What that says to me is that we started with the proper cushion. We read the pattern. We recognized the fact that this was going to be a pass that was going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 yards, maybe downfield, and we gave ground. And our technique was such, instead of backpedaling or being set with our feet in concrete, that we kept our feet moving. And when necessary, we made the commitment to our cushion and we got to the goal line. Now, unfortunately, we don't pick up the back judge. I'm sure the back judge was on the goal line as well. But this is what we need to do. This is a big part of what we do if you're a member of the deep three. We have to read and react so that we defend the goal line in the event something happens down there. That ball gets stripped out somewhere between the 1 and the goal line. We need to know whether that ball broke the plane. If the pylon is challenged as a result of the tackle, we need to be stationary at the goal line to know whether the ball got inside the pylon or whether the player was able to touch the pylon while in bounds. If that happens, then they get goal line extended. So there's lots of reasons to be back there stationary at the goal line rather than cruising. Okay, next clip. All right, we're going to have a couple of punts now. This first one is we're going to get, I want you to watch the kick returner that's on the far left side of the screen. We've talked about kick returners pointing at the ball. And if they keep their point at the shoulders or below, we don't restrict them in terms of their ability to field the ball and advance. But here, this is not what happens. This kick returner is going to make a quick swipe with his arms somewhere around shoulder height, maybe just a little bit below. We're going to recognize that as a signal, and we're not going to allow him or a teammate to advance this ball. They can recover it, of course, but they cannot advance. So we need to understand the difference between those two signals. If you're pointing at the ball and you keep your point below the shoulders and you're not too excessive with your arms going side to side, we're going to treat that as not being restrictive. In this particular situation, he kind of waves both of his arms. That is much more than we're going to accept in terms of allowing him to be able to advance this ball. Hopefully you understand the difference. If you don't, let me know, and we can talk about it individually and then pick it up again next week. All right, this next one is going to be the kick returner is going to make a quick signal. And we've talked about not rushing the stage from a back judge or a deep wing perspective. This is why. Now, this is a grass field. This is not a turf field. This was a night where things were pretty dry. He signals, lets it go. Now, he has the effect of like a short iron into a green that it pretty much sticks. But on field turf, particularly if the turf is wet, that ball is going to skid and it's going to skid quickly. So this is why we need to stay back judges as well as deep wings, not assume that the kick is going to be fielded cleanly by the kick returner, because in this case, he decided for whatever reason to let it go. Unfortunately, it did not go too far. So pack that away and make sure that you're reminding each other of the fact that you need to honor the cushion and not assume. Make your own read in terms of whether the ball is being fielded or whether the ball is actually deeper than what he is showing. Sometimes kick returners will do that. They'll rush up there like it's a short kick, when in reality it's 20 yards over their head. So we need to not rely on the kick returner to make those sorts of judgments with our movement. All right, a couple more and then we're going to call it a night. I've noticed on video, on PATs and field goals, that maybe we have not spent enough time on this. The purpose for the side judge being inside, we call it the double umpire, and maybe that's misleading because you can see our field judge over here is staring at the snap. All right. Now, is there a little responsibility for the legality of the snap? Yes, but the primary person here is going to be the umpire. All right. The reason why we have the side judge in the middle is for the 4 or 5 players that are over here to the far right side of Team B's formation. If there's going to be a potential pull and shoot to try to block a kick, most likely it's going to come from, no, the other side, Gregor. It's most likely going to come from the players over on our left, the Team B's right side, right? So you can see that they're coming. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get through a gap. So what we need to do is we need to judge where we're going to position ourselves as side judges to make sure that we have a clean shot to be able to see if a Team B player pulls an interior lineman to the side, one way or the other, to allow a teammate to get through to potentially block the kick. Now, it's only a foul if both parts of this happen. The pull is one half of it, but for it to be a foul, a teammate must be able to get through the gap that's created as a result of the pull. All right. So we need to widen ourselves in this particular case. I would say, first of all, we're a little bit close as a side judge. You should be 7 yards off the ball, which is pretty much midway in the end zone. All right. That gives you sort of a point of demarcation. And then you need to be wide enough that you're going to be able to make determinations in terms of whether you have a hold. Now, you get a player there that I wouldn't call him for hurdling, probably would be a good talk to. You can see he kind of goes through there. He's got a gap. He gets his knee up a little bit. Really not a safety situation, but you certainly don't want him going any higher than that. So that would be a good talk to say, hey, that are really close to hurdling. And if you hurdle, that's going to be a 15-yard foul. And you might also tell the coach, but we've got to get wider so that we are putting our attention, giving our attention to where it needs to be, which is the players that might foul, as opposed to whether the snap is legal or not. All right, the last clip of the night is also going to illustrate this point. Same game. Now you can see even more players over on Team A's right side of the formation. Now, side judges, even if you have to flip and go across to the other side, let's say that the side judge typically would be over at the top of the screen, but the strength of the formation is over on this side. You're going to flip with the umpire and come over here with the group. Now you can see that our side judge is now only about 4 yards off the ball. He's about maybe 2 yards in the end zone, in addition to the 3 yards. So it might be as much as 5. That side judge should be back at least another step. And you can see once again, he's staring at the snap. That's not why you're in there. You're in there for the players that are over on the right side of Team B's formation. Now, if you get in there quickly enough and you do some eavesdropping, they will tell you which side of the formation is going to be the strength of the formation. They'll say right, left, A, B. You'll figure it out pretty quickly what they're talking about to make sure that you're over there on the right side. But when we talked about things that teams have been working on since training camp, this is one of them. We have a lot of teams now that have very reliable place kickers, and they attempt field goals and extra points that are meaningful. Late in the game, you've got a reliable kicker in there trying to either kick a field goal to tie or win the game. If Team B has something in their arsenal to try to get through to block the kick, you know that they're going to use it, and we have to be prepared to defend against it. So spend some time in terms of how we're going to handle when the side judge comes into the middle of the field. I'm going to stop referring to it as double umpire because I think that maybe is misleading. It clearly is a misnomer. So we're going to have to fix that and get people thinking the right way to make sure that we are aware of potentially what could go really, really wrong. if Team B illegally blocks a kick that changes the direction of a game, we don't want it to be done illegally. Okay, those are the clips that we have tonight. We went a little quicker than we have the last few times. So we're going to try to make our sessions a little more directed based on what's happening out there. So once again, I want to encourage everyone to continue to submit clips for consideration for this meeting, because that's where we get the most bang for the buck. You're out there, you're living it, you're seeing it, you bring things to my attention, and that's really good for everyone on the call. So once again, make sure our focus is right where it belongs. We definitely do not want to start taking things for granted. Teams or our own preparation or how a game is going to come out, none of that should be a part of our thinking. And if the conversation is going that way, hopefully someone on the crew is going to say, "Oh, wait a minute, no, 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 we're not going to do that." You know, we don't know what's going to happen tonight, but we got to be ready for whatever they give us. They need our best effort on this particular game. We need leadership in those situations to make sure that our focus is right where it needs to be. All right. Next week, Monday night, 7 o'clock, please send clips and we will do it again. So good luck this week. Travel safely. Good night, everyone.